my dears. Kaleidoscope Evening with Gelda program present you today a talented and beauteous poetess, Dr. Roopali Sircar. Dr. Roopali, PhD, is a lifelong teacher, bilingual poetess, performer, writer, environmentalist, and social justice activist. Roopali retired as Associate Professor of English from Delhi University in India. She has written for peer-reviewed journals and served on academic conference panels worldwide. Roopali's poems have been translated into Hindi, Bangla, and Telugu, and her poems are housed at Stanford University's Digital Humanities Initiative, Life in Quarantine, Witnessing Global Pandemic, and in the University of Baptist Transnational Project. She is the consulting editor for Different Truths, an online global participatory journal, and the poetry editor for the Aspiring Writers Society. She runs a non-profit organization called IUVATI and a backyard book club called Mera Kitabgar. She lives in Meerut, India, with her veteran husband and 3 rescued dogs. What a cuteness, I guess. Dearest poetess, it's a great pleasure to get some time from you on my interview show. Well, be welcome here. Let's start our interview, please. Dear poetess, what place poetry has in your life?
Well, poetry is a very important thing in my life, especially during the pandemic when I was locked in and there was no other way of communicating. And one's emotions were very high because there was so much of fear. The fear factor was there. There were many people dying around you. You didn't know whether you're going to get sick or not. And so that was the only means by which one could express oneself, the deeply felt emotion. It became very, very important to me during this period.
If I say poetry is the reflection of one's life, do you agree? Can you state an example?
Poetry is definitely a reflection of one's life because all around you there are people, there are things that are happening around you, and the poet responds to it very emotionally. If you're writing prose, you can be rational, you can think about it, it could be somebody else's idea. But when it comes to poetry, it is all yours. And the words that come are yours, they're not borrowed. And therefore, it's very important that, what we're writing about, what we are saying has a certain authenticity to it. An example I can give is, for example, the death of a parent, let's say, or a friend, or a war happening somewhere to which you respond, or the beauty of nature that you feel very happy to be in. These things are examples of how emotionally we respond to the stimuli around you, and only poetry can do that for you.
Which poets have inspired you?
Well, I've been a student and teacher of literature, so there have been many poets who have influenced and inspired me. But the ones that I can, tell you about is, say, W.H. Auden, Pablo Neruda, in India, Rabindranath Tagore, the Hindi poet Subhadra Kumari Chauhan. These have had special because they have a lot of strength in what they're saying. They're talking about things around them. And I've been able to respond to them much more than other poets.
Could you suggest a bedside book to your readers?
Depends upon whose bedside it is. And I have this book that, I'm very fond of reading because not only because I have edited it, but it took me a long time to curate it, almost 3 years. And there are 26 poets, women poets, and the book is called In All the Spaces, Diverse Voices in Global Women's Poetry. And each poet has contributed about 10 poems, so you can actually see the kind of thought processes, what women are writing about, what their concerns are, and so on and so forth. I would recommend this.
What's your opinion about the contemporary poets?
Contemporary poets differ from country to country. Poetry is concerned with societal conditions. As an Indian, I would say that the contemporary poet in India is not writing so much about love, or the nightingale, because environmental destruction has, put away so many birds and animals. But definitely about poverty, about women's rights, about political upheavals, about the dichotomous or divisive nature of the political process in the country. These things people are writing about.
In your point of view, what is the most built poetic style?
In various languages, the styles are different. And in India, we have many languages, so it's very difficult for me to say, what is a beautiful poetic style. But what I like to do when I'm writing is have a mixture of rhyming as well as free verse, more of a narrative style where you're telling a story.
What's your advice to the new generation of poets?
I have a lot of advice to the new generation of poets because I think that the first thing that a new generation, the younger poets, must have authenticity. Whatever they're writing about, it should be authentic. It should be a felt experience, a lived experience. Their language must be very good. It should communicate to the reader. There's no need to become a scholar. You don't want a scholar poet. We need poetry today which actually touches your heart, which maybe, creates a revolution. Poetry must create a revolution. And the clarity of language is very, very important, extremely important. So they should work on that. And as I said, authenticity is the most important.
Do you think the social networks are helping the new writers?
Definitely. Without the networking, you and I wouldn't have met either. A lot of information about publishing, what kind of poetry is being written, opportunities to, be in anthologies, to participate in poetry forums, to come to know each other, to listen to other poets. This has all been possible because of the networking. And I think it has been one of the most revolutionary things that has happened for the poet. Otherwise, the poet just wrote his poems and probably just kept it in a drawer, that's all.
And now, finalizing our interview moment, still celebrating the week of when the world celebrated the Women's Day. Could you recite a poem as a tribute to all women around the world, please?
Yes, this is, I would love to dedicate this poem to women all over the world since this is, we've just celebrated the Women's Day. And this poem is called I Am Kali. Kali is the black goddess. Among all the fair ones, she is like me, the dark one, fierce and angry, with stained tongue and the 52 monster heads strung round her neck like the red ruby necklace mother gifted me when I turned 18. Kali's many hands hold a trident, a sharp khadga, the blood-swathed head of Daruka, and a conch shell to call to war and victory. Like me, Kali is the chosen one. I severed those heads one by one. They were heads that didn't want mine to grow. Heads full of diktats to dwarf me. They drew chalk circles around me to contain me and forbid me to taste the apple of knowledge. They made me wear iron shods and a chastity belt, wrapping me like an Egyptian mummy in black satin, and I could not feel the touch or warmth of the morning sun. Those heads gave me a rolling pin and snatched away my pen. Kali is the potential and the possibility of destruction, of creation, death, and time, which is Kal. She stands for justice and equality, naked and satiated, attired in black tresses, a prostrate Shiva under her anklet-clad feet upon him. I am Kali, the indestructible woman. I'm not black. I'm just the other side of the moon. I come in many colors and live in many places. You can find me in all the spaces and you can hear my diverse voices. I'm naked and I'm not satiated. Yes,
Great, great. Thankful for your brilliant presence with us. Guys, hope to see you on the next Sunday. See you there.